opinions and statements expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
Welcome to the Yvonne Kandi Show. Motivational, inspirational, and just plain fun. Where celebrities check in and you can check out what's fresh in entertainment, business, health, finance, and more. It's all about your lifestyle. Here's your host, Yvonne Kandi.
Hello, everybody, and happy holidays to you. I hope you are shopping safely. I just wanted to mention that a friend of mine sent me a video on Facebook. I don't know if you've seen this video, but it was someone shopping and they were getting their credit card stolen. The person was actually just a prop, and they explained that they were just trying to make them aware that this could happen. But however, it was a scary situation. The person had something that looked like an iPad or something, and they were asking this shopper for directions. So they said, "Can you tell us if there's a Macy's in this mall?" And they had that was my guess. That's okay. It's rainy today, you guys, right here where we are. But at any rate, we were watching this video. This video, like I said, was really scary. It showed how vulnerable you are to someone stealing your credit card information, and they can just go shopping till tomorrow on your credit card. So be safe, be careful out there. And, you know, they have these products now where you can actually put your credit card in, it's like a metal case or something like that. But at any rate, they do have protection for it. So just check it out. I don't have all the information on it, but please watch your pocketbook, ladies, and be careful. Now, also, at this time of year, we have so much mayhem going on. I don't know why that happens. Sometimes I think, is it all in my mind? Or do we have a lot of things happening at this time of year? You have deaths. This isn't working. That's not working. Everything seems to be going crazy. Well, my guest today is here to help us with one situation, and that's with our aging loved one. We have a generation expert. Are you okay? We have a generation expert, and her name is Jennifer FitzPatrick. She is also a best-selling author of Cruising Through Caregiving, Reducing the Stress of Caring for Your Loved One. You might have seen Jennifer on ABC or in Reader's Digest, U.S. News, Forbes, or the Chicago Tribune. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. You better take some water there.
Thanks, Yvonne. Thanks so much for having me. I rushed up after getting off the Schuylkill. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thank you for coming in this drastic weather, and I see it's not agreeing with you too much.
Yeah. I'm just getting over a little touch of the cold. We get these times of year, especially like you said, with so much going on, shopping, taking care of our loved ones. Yeah, so I'm just getting over a little something.
Oh, well, I hope that you get better. You are the founder of a program called Generations Health Education. Why don't you give us a little information about that?
Sure. So my company provides education and programs for healthcare professionals, hospitals, senior living companies. We help them grow and better understand their patients so they can be more empathic, better listeners. And one of the things that a lot of hospitals and healthcare organizations ask us to work with them on is educating families. How do they take care of their loved ones if you have a parent, if you have a spouse maybe who needs caregiving?
Yeah, it is so sad, especially this time of year. We think about our loved ones. We think about the ones that have passed on. And it's extremely stressful for a lot of people when they have to care for a loved one at this time of year.
It's really stressful because, like you said, Yvonne, with the memories, if it's a first holiday after a loved one has passed. But if you're taking care of a loved one who's sick right now, that brings up a lot of questions. If your loved one maybe is in a nursing home or an assisted living, do I bring them to the big family party?
Yes.
Or do I visit them? How do I navigate all that? So there's a lot going on when you have loved ones who are ill.
Sure. It's quite, I would say, a defeat because you're struggling and you don't know whether or not your loved one should be in a home in the first place or at home with you. I know in my family, we always said, oh, we will never put our loved one in a nursing home. Don't everybody say that?
Yeah, they do, Yvonne. Yeah, they really do. I think some families more than others.
Yeah.
But I have a whole chapter in Cruising Through Caregiving about why you don't want to make a promise about that, because what I think we want to say is we're going to do the best we can.
Yes.
But sometimes, especially if there's dementia, we can't always keep the person home. It's not only is it exhausting emotionally, but it can become really physically taxing.
Yes. They become very angry. A lot of people who have dementia, they have these mood swings and what have you. And that's pretty hard for a lot of people to understand. Family members, and I noticed that you had said in one of your texts that family members need to be involved.
Well, I think, first of all, I'd like to say to anybody who's taking care of a family member who has dementia, if you have cancer, heart disease, whatever might be going on, your loved one is lucky to have you. And you should congratulate yourself, because there's not most, but a lot of people don't have anybody. And so I think a lot of caregivers struggle with that guilt that they're not doing enough. Maybe they should do more. But if you are a loved one taking care of somebody in your family or your friend or from your faith community, you should remind yourself that you're unique. Not a lot of people step up to the plate.
Yeah, it's so sad because my family members, mother, grandmother, aunt, in-laws, was in a nursing home. And every time I would go to see them, I just wanted to do something for some of those people that had nobody. I mean, no one would ever come to see them. I don't understand it. Do some of these people just put them in this nursing home and forget about them and say, okay, let me just wipe my hands. I mean, this is a hassle. This is a problem. This is trouble. I don't know.
I think there's some of that, but I also think that it might be that they visit once a month. It might be that family live far away. People, I actually grew up in Philadelphia. I live in Maryland now, but back years ago, everybody lived in the same neighborhood, and now people move away for jobs and for when they get married to somebody else, or maybe they go to college in a different state. So sometimes family is far away. I was actually just helping a family this week where the son lives in Florida and the dad lives up in the Northeast, and it's really challenging.
Yes, it is challenging because your children grow up, they have their own lives. And some of them move away to other states. So I know that's very challenging. You are also a gerontologist or gerontology instructor. Tell us exactly what that is.
Sure. I teach at the Johns Hopkins University Certificate on Aging program, and that is it's a great program for anybody who wants to get into the field of working in some way with older persons. And there's so many career opportunities right now. And not just being a nurse or a social worker, but in marketing, in sales, in working finances with older adults. And this certificate program at Hopkins prepares folks for careers and second careers often. It's interesting. I have a lot of returning students who they're in their 50s, they're in their 60s, and there's so many jobs. It honestly, Yvonne, it really scares me.
I agree.
We don't have enough people to handle what they call the silver tsunami, the number of older adults that we're going to need to be helping in the future.
They're the baby boomers.
Right.
I'm one of them. I'm one of the younger generation of baby boomers. And you're talking about millions of people. So if anybody, if you're looking for a career, I mean, I think that this is the career to be in. If it's drugs, look how many older adults have to take all of these drugs. So anything that have to do with, older adults, anything, whether it's assisted living, whether it's a home or whatever. I would think that is where the money is.
Elder law. I mean, people don't think about that's a huge booming career, and not just being an attorney, but working as a paralegal, there's so many options at those firms are growing now. So for people who have degrees, advanced degrees, but even persons that don't even have a college degree, there are countless opportunities. And if you work in that field, you're never going to be without a job. So it really makes me feel good to work in that. I've been at that school for over a decade, helping prepare folks for new careers.
You know, it's a shame that we have to put our loved ones in something like a nursing home or assisted living or what have you. But all of them aren't good. All of them aren't good. And when you had something to say, when you said senior law, when you said that? Elder law. Okay. I mean, we need that. We need that because you never know. I had a terrible experience, and I just wanted to share this. My father-in-law, was at a nursing home, and we kept finding strange things going on. He had bruises. His finger was broke. He had is a hematose or the bleeding in the head or the brain or whatever. So we couldn't understand, why is this always happening? Every time we come, it was something going on. Come to find out that one of the aides that was on at night had not had a background check. Can you believe that? So after we complained so much, they did the background check and find out that she had a criminal record. I'm saying this because you guys have to take care of your seniors, your elders. You have to, if they're in a facility, you have to check all the time. Now, we were just talking about how a lot of the children of the elders don't have time. You know, I had mentioned they have their own lives and what have you, but I'm going to tell you something. If they come once a month, they might be surprised. Unfortunately, maybe that's all they can do, you know, but if you can have someone else even go check on them, that would be better. If you cannot make it, if it's a neighbor, if it's a family friend, anybody, just to make sure they're okay.
You bring up such an excellent point because I talk a lot about that in Cruising Through Caregiving, that you have to have a crew. And maybe you live several hours away from the home that your loved one is residing at, but you know, go to your friends, your neighbors, your parents' friends, if it's your parent, your cousins, your faith community, and do that. Make it a point to who's going to visit on this day. And maybe you can't get to every day, and sometimes that might not be necessary, but you know, more to get more interaction with that person, because I do think that it's really good for staff when they see that the loved one has interested parties.
Sure. Once a week, maybe, you know, at least.
Depends on the person. So I think there are definitely situations where somebody has dementia.
Sure.
And when somebody's adjusting to a community, sometimes if you place that loved one there, sometimes it goes great. You know, the family visits every day, no problem. But then there's times where the family visits every day and why'd you bring me here? I need to go home. Take me out of here. And it's awful. And so I think it really just depends on the individual. But yeah, I think we just want to, you know, you want to visit as much as makes sense for your loved one's situation.
Right. Yeah, I've heard some horror stories. So, you know, you guys, please take care of your loved ones and make sure you check on them. Give somebody a few dollars, for goodness sake. You know, pay for their expenses or whatever. Just make sure you have somebody check on your loved one. Well, I understand that you're a speaker, but I didn't know that a speaker can be certified, and I see that you're a certified speaking professional. So tell me, what is that?
Right. So certified speaking professional is actually a very rare designation. It's through the National Speaker Association. And basically what that means is you're evaluated by your peers. There's about 800 of us worldwide, and it means that you've passed a certain amount of criteria for ethics and eloquence, and that you are earning a living by speaking professionally. And I just real quick want to mention that we're having a free book signing at the Barnes & Noble in Fairless Hills tomorrow night on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And it will be first 30 people to arrive get a free copy of Cruising Through Caregiving, sponsored by Artist Senior Living. Also, there's going to be free food.
Oh, fantastic.
We're going to be talking about holidays and caregiving. But if you're one of the first 30 people, right up the boulevard, you'll get a copy of Cruising Through Caregiving for free.
Everybody wants free food.
And free food. Yeah.
Well, you know, you also have every November. Now, November has passed as of we do this broadcast, but since you're here on the show, I want you to also talk about the National Family Caregivers Month in November. Tell us what that's all about.
Really, it's just about bringing awareness to caregiving. There's more than 40 million Americans who are caregiving for a loved one. And most people, I find when they're caregiving, unless their loved one lives in their house, they don't think of themselves as a caregiver. But if you're visiting your aunt who lives in an assisted living, if you have a mom that lives in Chicago and you jump a plane every couple months to help out when she has important doctor's appointments, you're a caregiver also.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't even want to be caregiver. They don't want to be called a caregiver. I met someone the other day, and they said, I don't want to be a caregiver. That's my mother. I'm not a caregiver. But you're still a caregiver, you know? And I think what she was talking about, she says, they offer some sort of income, like supplemental income, whatever it is. And she said, I don't want that. I said, but look, you have to understand that if you weren't taking care of your mother, you probably would be out working. So this is just to help you out, while you're doing this. I mean, you have to take care of her. So you can't work and take care of her too. But they didn't want to be called a caregiver. They didn't want any type of income for taking care of their own mother. Have you met any people like that?
Yeah, some people. Well, of course, it's my husband. Of course, it's my father. But again, I just want to remind people who have that feeling, you're doing something very special, very unique. I bet there's a lot of caregivers listening right now that somebody who's opted out.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you have a sister who just never shows up, doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. Or you have it's a bunch of cousins taking care of the aunt, and several of the cousins just don't return phone calls. So if you are participating, you deserve credit.
Yeah. Yeah, they figure in, okay, well, she can deal with it, why should I deal with it?
Right.
I don't have to deal with it. She does everything. I understand. Well, these caregivers, they go through a lot of stress, emotionally, mentally, physically. How do we know when we're stressed out? And maybe we need to get help. How do we know that?
So I have a lot of quizzes in Cruising Through Caregiving, and you can get all of them. You can download them at cruisingthroughcaregiving.com. But one, for example, is what I call the 100-word exercise. And it's got 100 words that I want you to circle. Take the worksheet. Over the last week, which one of these emotions have you felt? And I want you to look and see, are you circling more positive words or more negative words? If you're circling more negative words on a regular basis, you're probably burnout. I also want you to look at if people that care about you say, you know what, you don't look good. Now, I'm not saying the nasty neighbor.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But someone that loves you says, I'm worried about you. Are you sleeping? Are you eating?
Right.
Are you okay? You haven't, it seems like you haven't been out of the house in weeks. If someone that cares about you says that, listen to them. Take it seriously. And the other thing, I think people know, okay, I'm not eating well, I'm not exercising, I'm not sleeping, but also spiritually. Are you neglecting your spiritual needs? Maybe you're not going to church or synagogue, or you're not praying, or maybe you like to meditate and you've kind of let that go because you're just so overwhelmed. So I think those are some things that can sneak up on people that they're not meeting their spiritual needs.
Right. We have to stay balanced. And I do believe that the spiritual is a part of balancing, and that's very important.
Yeah.
If you don't do anything but just meditate, that's very important. I know when I was taking care of my mother, and she passed away with lung cancer.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I was fortunate. I'm the oldest, but I was fortunate that the family had pulled together and everybody helped. But I'm going to tell you, I gained 30 pounds. Can you believe that?
It happens to people.
Over a course of maybe, I don't know, 2 years, I'm thinking, because she was sick for like a whole year and a half. And then after that, with the grief and everything, I'm telling you, it was terrible. I didn't even recognize my own self. So I understand what you're saying, that you have to really take a look at yourself and say, do I need help? Do I need to make changes? Should I change my program, change my schedule? So I think that what's a good idea for people to do is maybe go to the gym, work out, take some me time. It's important.
So any caregiver listening, and I'm going to definitely be talking about this at Barnes & Noble tomorrow night. If you recognize what we're talking about, make one decision that within the next week, you're going to make one change, whether it's going to be, like you said, you're going to go to the gym. Mm-hmm. You're going to go back to church. You're going to, for one service, you're going to take a walk. You're going to read a chapter of a book for fun. And know that it's okay. I think a lot of people, when they're caregiving, they feel like it would be selfish.
Yeah.
And I think caregivers need to be more selfish.
Yeah. I think, like in my particular situation, my sister or my grandmother was there, and when they took over or when they spent time, that's an opportunity. That was an opportunity for me to go to the gym. So, I'm saying this because I want you guys also to to learn something from this conversation, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are taking care of loved ones. And like we said, the baby boomer generation is so large that you're bound. I'm telling you, someone listening is bound to have a loved one that they're taking care of because of the baby boomer generation. Yeah. We talked about, signs, but I wanted to say personally, when would a person feel like they're out of control, like when they really need help personally, not by someone just saying, okay, you don't look well, maybe you should do this, but I'm talking about that inner self.
Okay, I'm glad you asked, because you brought up this story about your father-in-law and what happened to him, and I'm so sorry about that. But and it happens in nursing homes and senior living. But unfortunately, actually, the data tells us most abuse and neglect happens at the hands of people that we know. Friends, family, neighbors. And so I've actually worked with countless people over the years who have said, I feel like I might snap and hit my husband or scream at my mother. That is a screaming alarm that says you got to do something differently. So I think people are terrified. Oh, I don't want to bring a stranger into the home. No home care. I don't want to do assisted living or nursing home. I get that. That's scary. It's unknown. And yes, something bad can happen. But even if you are the most lovely, gentle person, you have a breaking point.
Oh, sure. The strongest person has a breaking point. Yeah.
So when you feel that, when you're saying things like that, or maybe you haven't verbalized it to anybody, you got to do something differently. You got to start bringing in more help, whatever that means.
Right. Or you'll turn into, what was that picture where he threw the woman down the steps in the wheelchair?
Oh.
I don't know, but I do know it's just it's just stress that you need to take care of. And you have to watch yourself, pay attention to yourself, and listen to that voice in your mind. That, okay, I'm stressed out. I need to get some help. And that's what you need to do. Well, I'm really glad we're talking about this because, like I said, this is the time of year when we are stressed, taking care of loved ones. We're grieving over our loved ones that have passed away. And I hope this is going to help somebody out there to know how to deal with their particular situation as a caregiver. How can we prepare ourselves to be caregivers? Or even if we are in a situation of caregiving, how do we prepare ourselves?
It's so many people don't. And that's the thing is I'm on a mission to try to get people to think about this early. Talk to your loved ones now before there's a problem. Mom, have you updated your will, your advanced directives? Have the conversations. If you weren't able to make decisions for yourself, would you want a feeding tube? Would you want a ventilator? If you had a terminal illness, how much treatment would you need if you weren't able to talk to us verbally? Having those conversations about, if say you ever had memory impairment, One strategy I recommend in cruising through caregiving is I know that when I did my will and advance directive, I said to my dad, I did mine. Now I want to see yours.
Oh, who wants to talk about that?
Nobody.
It's
Nobody wants to talk about it.
It's so dark, you know?
But we're all going to die.
I know.
But this is the stuff that we can do today to prepare, because it's constantly we're seeing people fighting. Let's say you have 3 kids,
sure,
and you have dementia and you're not eating, and the doctors are saying, well, you can use a feeding tube if you want, and 2 kids are saying no, and one's saying yes, and it can really cause long-term estrangements. Talk about what you believe.
Yeah, I went through that too. That's a serious situation, that feeding tube thing, to make that decision, you know. But I don't know. I feel as though that we have to really come to grips with the fact that we need to put our affairs in order. We really do. And that's one of the things I know a lot of people don't want to talk about. I hate to talk about it, but I'm coming to grips. Like, you have assets. You don't want people fighting over that. You don't want people fighting over you when you're not able to take care of yourself. So, yeah, definitely get your paperwork in order, people. And tell us about that. What about a living will? Do you think that's a good idea?
Oh, yeah. So I believe that a living will, but also have the conversations. Put your notes in writing. Now, if you really want to do it up formal, you can talk to your attorney. I, in particular, like elder law attorneys because they understand issues specific to older persons. But you can download a form if you're at a hospital or a nursing home, they can give you a form. But you can even just write a general and sign it with a witness. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but that's better than nothing.
Sure.
But have the conversations. And I think what families can do is look for natural openings. Maybe we see something in the media. I know when Robin Williams passed away, people started talking more about mental health, or when Sandra Day O'Connor started talking about her dementia diagnosis, people started having those conversations. But maybe your mom has a friend who recently passed away, and she didn't have a living will, and the kids were fighting. Use that as a natural opening. Hey, Mom, I don't want that to happen in our family. What kinds of things are you concerned about?
Sure. You know, I just recently set up a trust.
Smart.
Yeah. And, recent, within the past few years. The living will is definitely a must and important, and very important. But I wanted my assets distributed a certain way. And that's one reason my husband and I had set up this trust. I mean, so someone that don't know how to act, and I'm just making a joke, Jennifer.
I know what you mean.
If they don't know how to act, they only get money or asset at a particular time.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
A lot of people never give this a thought.
Yeah, because they're not going to do anything but throw it away.
Right.
So, I mean, you don't want something that you worked hard for to just be squandered and thrown away. You don't want that. So setting up a trust is something that you can also talk to your lawyer about, and it might be a good idea for you. I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody has, different situations. So this could be something good. I mean, I don't know. They say trust lives on even after you're gone.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't have that much assets. If you have even let's just say you own a house, or I've heard attorneys say even if you have $50,000 in assets, it's worth it to have a conversation. Usually they do a 15-minute consult for free.
Well, Jennifer, I appreciate you coming on. This was very knowledgeable, very informative. You have a book out, and tell us where we can get that book. And it's called Cruising Through Caregiving.
Right. So tomorrow night at the Barnes & Noble in Fairless Hills by the Oxford Valley Mall, we're going to be doing a book signing sponsored by Artist Senior Living, Barnes & Noble. And first 30 people get a free book. There'll be free refreshments. And we're going to be talking about holidays and caregiving and how you can make them less stressful.
Thanks for listening to the Yvonne Kandi Show. Want to know more? Check out YvonneKandi.com.